center ourselves in God. We light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for these shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous people, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of surrender to divine love as the highest calling. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light a candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them, and for all faith traditions unnamed in this ceremony. The final candle is the healing candle. It represents the revealing of the divinity at the core of all experience. This is your candle for whatever is in your mind and heart that requires the light.
Here I am. Here I am. The infinite I that I am is right here. It's like where each and every one of you, the infinite I that you are, is right where you are. And are we willing to lay claim to that profoundly in a way perhaps we have never done before? Today, I did give Daniel some insight into what my intention was in terms of what I wanted to talk about. And it really is all about understanding the call that is within each and every one of us. And that call exists constantly. It is not limited to age. It is not limited to anything other than our own hesitancy around answering that call. It's the only thing that will limit the call expressing through us. And I think sometimes I would like to know, what is it that holds me back from making the call and answering the call that is in my heart? I've worked through this stuff. I don't know if you know that. I had to work through it. I had to work through all of the perceived fears that would come up around laying claim to an identity in this life and being okay and proud with expressing my authenticity in every aspect of my being. It's not easy for some people. It wasn't easy for me at first. But, boy, life has gotten better since I have done it. There is a book that sat on my shelf for many years. I did finally read it, and then it went back on my shelf, and it still sits. Actually, I don't think it's on my shelf anymore. I think it's one of the books that I gently released to its next wonderful owner, and it was a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. And she had this to offer. She said, remove the "I want you to like me" sticker from your forehead and place it on the mirror where it belongs. And I really resonate with that idea, that We must begin to start to like ourselves in the way that we want other people to like us. Here's the thing, it's a difference between people pleasing to try to bolster ourselves or purpose choosing and purposefully choosing to live from the point of view of a divine identity. Which is more aligned with your identity? People pleasing or purposefully choosing? I mean, I would say it's purposefully choosing. That's really what is allowing our divine identity to shine most brightly. Today, in many ways, is all about the fifth principle, the fifth basic principle that we teach in Unity. And that fifth basic principle is to live the truth that we know, that we teach a philosophy here. And I say every week, it is up to you to determine to what degree you will incorporate that philosophy into your life, if at all. But it is a choice. And I express the fifth principle in this way. It is a choice to live from and activate this spiritual teaching beyond an intellectual understanding. I was drawn to this philosophy initially because there was an intellectual aspect to it. I could go in and I could study and read and learn, and I could make my life better. But it was not until I embodied the philosophy, put it to work in my life, and allowed myself to move beyond the intellect that my life began to thrive. So the call for each and every one of us is to move from the intellectual to embodiment. And when we do that, the choices we make, actually, I should take that back. I'm going to take it back. Whether we do it or not, the choices that we make ripple through community and out into the world. And so the call then is, do you want to initiate a ripple of profound love or a ripple of some form of fear? Because you're going to, whether you know it or not, ripple out whatever is in your heart. And that can be love, it can be fear. It's like, you mentioned the butterfly effect last week, Laura. That butterfly that flaps its wings in the rainforest can cause a hurricane on the other side of the world. That is the power that each and every one of us has. Right where we are affecting the world, the universe, really. So today's message is called Making the Call, and there's kind of a double meaning in that idea. If we're going to make the call, it means that we're going to actually make a call. The call in your soul is the call we're talking about. And taking action is actually picking up that phone. It's so funny, you don't do this anymore with a phone, do you? It's picking up the phone and actually dialing and making it work out in the outer form. We talk a lot in this philosophy about the call within our soul. And we oftentimes also refer to it with this metaphor, with this analogy, that every thought we have, every idea we have are seeds that we are planting in the infinite soil of creation. And so, what seeds are awaiting your cultivation? Because it's not just about planting the seed, it's about nourishing that seed so that it can blossom into whatever is there for it to blossom into. I think that's every single one of us. Every single one of you is the blossom of an idea in the infinite divine mind. Are you seeking to nurture those seeds through knowing your essence? That's the truth of your divine identity. Last week I talked all about my entire philosophy and approach to this ministry, in my expression of it, is to invite us all to release the notion of separation. That is a seed I think we can nurture. Are you nurturing that seed through your essence, the truth of your divine identity? Or there's another way that many of us try to nurture those seeds, and it's trying to become favorable in the eyes of others. I'm going to tell you something. Trying to become favorable in the eyes of others as a motivating factor is not necessarily going to work to your benefit. It may make you feel good temporarily, but trust me, if someone then says something disparaging to you, you can really poison that plant real fast. If we are living from the truth of our essence, our authentic essence self, and nurturing those seeds, then you know what ultimately happens? we become favorable in the eyes of those others for whom we become favorable. And we don't have to become favorable in the eyes of everyone, because we are never going to be all things to all people. I tried that. Boy, did I try that. But I had to come to a realization at a point that my true success in the expression of my life was not rooted in the opinions of others. Oh, that was a hard lesson to learn. Once upon a time in my life, I sought to explore the nature of humanity. I mean, I still do. This has kind of been the motivating factor in my life, the exploration of humanity, right? And for a significant portion of my life, I sought that exploration through working from the outside in. And that was when I was living my life as an actor, that I would don a role. I would perform in a play or a musical or some expression, some artistic expression. And it was all in the idea that I was going to explore the nature of humanity through this role. Now, I want to be really clear. There is nothing wrong with that. That is absolutely a valid way to explore the nature of humanity. I did it for decades. But there was a moment of illumination that unfolded for me, and that moment of illumination invited me to explore from the inside out. And I had to make a choice to shift the direction of that exploration, to shift from exploration of the outside in to shift so that I was allowing myself to explore from the inside out. And exploring from the inside out is allowing authenticity to express itself wholly. There is a part of me that now seeks balance between the two. I have a question for reflection. Who's naming you? And when I say who's naming you, what I mean by that is who in your life is responsible for determining your identity and the way you show up in the world. Just something to reflect upon for a moment, because here's the thing about that. If you don't know who you are, if you are not naming yourself, be careful, because you may be letting others decide for you. Take a moment to consider how you think about yourself. This entire philosophy is rooted in thoughts create our experience. And I think we go deeper. The beliefs that back those thoughts are creating our experience. And even deeper than that is this, that there are feelings that are tied up in those beliefs and those thoughts that are creating that experience. So take a moment to consider what you think about yourself, what you believe about yourself, and what your feelings are around yourself, around those thoughts and beliefs about yourself. Just take a moment to look at that. Did you assign those thoughts, those beliefs, and those feelings, or did you accept those ideas from something outside the self? It's not a question that is meant to invite us to beat ourselves up, but to embolden us with this idea that we are the authorities in our lives. We have divine natural authority to create the experience and expression of our lives. I like divine natural authority because that initializes DNA. It is inherent. That is our DNA, our divine natural authority to create our lives in a way that is blessing not only our experience of life, but blessing every single one of us. Every single person we encounter can be blessed by our presence, by our beneficent presence. Now, it may be a mix, this idea of, taking that moment to consider, did you assign that idea or did you allow that idea to be signed from outside the self? It may be a mix, but what might that percentage then be between the two? Are you more heavily weighted on outside influences have determined how I shall be and how I shall express in this world? Or are you more weighted on the side of I have made a decision affirming my own divine identity, and this is how I choose to be in the world. This is how I choose to express my divine authenticity in the world, and I will not be afraid to do it any longer. And if there is something in you that you realize you adopted from someone that maybe needs to be challenged, here's my call to you. Challenge it. Challenge it. Claim an identity that affirms your magnificence. We say it every single week. I am magnificent. To what degree do you believe that? And what is the feeling tone that is wrapped up in that belief? Because I'll tell you, the first time I said that out loud in a Sunday experience in the community that introduced that idea to me, I didn't come up with that, by the way. All my best ideas in ministry are borrowed. I'm going to be really clear about that. But I remember sitting in a service and invited to stand up, and everybody went, "You are magnificent." And I went, "No, I'm not." And then they said, "Okay, but you need to affirm your own magnificence and say out loud, 'I am magnificent.'" And the first time I ever said it out loud, it was probably like this: "I am magnificent?" Maybe, I don't know. But you know what? I've worked with it over the time of my ministry, and I can proudly say I am magnificent. And my magnificence does not detract or take away from anybody else's magnificence. We are all magnificent, and that is a choice to live from that point of view. We do live in interdependence. So reflections from others and by others do have relevance. If they didn't, then what would be the point of inviting our new guests here to stand up and us saying, "You are magnificent"? Maybe that is a seed that is going to be planted in the hearts of each and every person who is here for the first time, and maybe there will be a little inkling of beginning to believe it. And until you can believe it for yourself, you better believe I'm going to believe it on your behalf. Mirrors are everywhere around us. This is a magnificent mirror. Laura Cass has been a magnificent mirror for me over these many years that I have known Laura. And I am so grateful for your presence in my life and the way that you choose to hold me to account in my life. You are a blessing to me, Laura. Thank you. Mirrors are everywhere around us. Everywhere around us. And community, the community that we choose to be involved with, to participate in, is a reflection of something that is within each and every one of us. You get to decide what it is you are putting forth to be reflected back to you. I had a challenge at one point because I believed something somebody said. I think I mentioned this in a service months ago, but I'm going to repeat it because I like to repeat stories. You ever notice that? I had finished my studies in acting and directing from the University of Arizona. I was about ready to receive my degree, my Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in acting and directing. And one of the things that had unfolded during my time in that program is I got involved in stage management, which is very much, it's an administrative task in many ways to really manage an entire production. The stage manager also acts as a conduit between the performing individuals and all of the technical aspects of the experience. And I had a knack for stage management. I just did. I was really good at it. Thank you, Sherry. Sherry was there with me during that time. She said, "Yes, you were." Sherry was a TD on a show that I stage managed 30-something years ago. Whew. So anyway, I come towards the end of my degree time there, and reminder, I'm getting my degree in acting and directing. So my thought is, I'm going to go out, I'm going to be an actor, right? That's what I want to have as my career. And I had a professor come up to me and say, "I'm so glad you found stage management. It's something you're really good at." Talk about having 4 years, six years of my life. It took me 6 years to get my bachelor's degree. That's a whole other story. But talk about having a significant part of my life, those years, be completely demolished by one phrase that I took upon myself to agree with. Had nothing to do with that individual. I heard those words, and I chose to believe them. It took me a while to name that label and to actively choose to release it. And I'll tell you, once I did, that's when I became quite successful and consistently working as an actor. So I think the call then is to do this. Is there something that you are silently sitting on, some label that you are silently sitting on, perhaps that you have taken from someone else that you are ready to release? Here's the thing that I'm going to encourage you to do. Release it today and name the truth that you are ready to embrace, because there's no time like the present to change your life. In fact, there is no time other than the present. So if you are seeking to change your life, do it now. This is a call, and it's a call to move beyond what we perceive or what we name as goals in our life, and to embrace heart qualities as those things that I think we can embrace, and allow those heart qualities to demonstrate themselves in the outflow of our experience. There is no achievement in form that is as fulfilling as living from an inner orientation of kindness, compassion, and love. That's what I've found. How about you? There is no achievement in form that is as fulfilling as living from an inner orientation of kindness, compassion, and love. I believe that love is our purpose and nothing else. And everything in our life is an opportunity. Everything else that we experience in life is an opportunity to express love. Our outflow of life is the vehicle to express love. Jesus said, I have one commandment for you. He said, forget about all that other stuff. I have one commandment for you, and that is love. Period, full stop, end of sentence. Love. That's what's most important. When we abandon love, here's the thing. When we abandon love as our motivator, we may get lost in seeking outer achievements to fill a void. Boy, did I do that. We strive for goals, to achieve goals, rather than allowing ourselves to be heart-based being, living from a heart-based point of view. When we are chasing gold stars, we may be eclipsing our authentic service and expression in this world. My call to ministry, which happened just over 20 years ago, as I reflect back on it now, and looking back on things, retrospect, in hindsight is 20/20, right? I can see all of the things that were invitations to step into this path in life. All those seeds were around me. My call to ministry happened on a Sunday after I had been attending a New Thought Community's Sunday celebration. Started off with a lot of resistance to come to a church on a Sunday, let me tell you. Because that was not what I was raised with. But I started going, I found my way to one on a Sunday. I started going every single week. It was about 6 months after that. I was sitting out there, perhaps like maybe one of you. And I was looking at the minister who was on stage, who was my mentor in ministry. I saw him and I thought, oh, that's my path and purpose. To be in ministry, to allow myself to take a step in a different direction. Completely unexpected. And I will also say that, those of you who knew me back in the day, who, subsequently found out that I was becoming a minister, many of those people from my past were like, you? Really? You? Yeah. And there was resistance in me, and that resistance was reflected in people's responses to me. But there was something that was more deeply seated that was seeking to blossom within me. And so I engaged in the intellectual study. That intellectual study combated the resistance. And there was a choice moment where I had to fully actively step into it and say, the embodiment of my life, I am a minister 24/7, 365. Because that's what ministry is. That choice moment is the fifth principle in action. Living the truth we know. Making a choice to live the truth we know beyond the intellect. And so the demonstration, the outcome of that choice has been an ongoing evolution. And that's the thing, there was no destination. I had to get over that idea that there was a destination. real fast because it was not even reflected in that moment I received that piece of paper that said, you are qualified, you are a minister. And it was like, that's really great. But that was just the beginning of the journey. It is an ongoing evolution to live from this point of view. And you don't have to be a minister to live from this point of view, although if that is a call in your heart, come talk to me, because I can tell you how that can unfold for you. But if you've been sitting on any dream, start activating it now, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Thoreau said, keep moving in the direction of your dreams. And you know what happens when I have moved in the direction of my dreams? My dreams expand, they get bigger. I have larger ideas about what I want my life to unfold to be. And the call is to keep moving in that direction, in that forward-moving, evolutionary state of mind and being. Making a decision is an energetic activation. If we find ourselves waiting is energetic stagnation. Do you want to be activated or stagnated? I don't know that stagnated is a word. Well, it is now because I've just used it. So there you go. I am choosing to be in energetic activation, and it is a daily choice I make. So let no one diminish your bloom. That's the call today. Let no one diminish your bloom. Your blossoming contributes to the beauty of the whole garden. Look at this garden out here. Isn't it extraordinary? It is extraordinary. You are the living expression of love, so embody the truth you know more deeply today than ever before, and know that the seeds within you are sacred, so plant them now, and as you flourish, everyone around you flourishes. Peace and blessings. You are magnificent. As you know, if you are familiar with how the service unfolds every single week, but if you're new to our community, you are about to find out, I offer a home practice every week. The home practice is the opportunity that I invite for us to take the basis of the message of the day and activate it purposefully in our life. So the home practice this week is this. Each day, name a heart quality that you will purposefully embody. Couple ideas: kindness, courage, compassion. There are many heart qualities that you can identify. You get to sit down, make a list of heart qualities that you can identify. Let that purposeful choice lead you to take one step toward embodying and expressing a dormant dream or idea. This, of course, will appear on our website, on the video archive page. You can take a picture of it with your phone if you need that reminder. But that is the home practice that I am offering for us all to engage in this week.